Welcome to another episode of Erik Wait Whiskey Studies. I'm celebrating Bourbon Month, March 2019, here on my channel. And in this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Four Roses Single Barrel Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Four Roses was the first distillery that I ever visited in Kentucky. In fact, it was the first distillery I ever visited, period. Absolutely fantastic tour. Really loved it. One of my favorite things probably was the ability to taste the mash. And seeing the stills and seeing the mash tuns, and actually seeing the sort of the bubbling corn mash. It looks like it might be hot, but it actually isn't. If you put your hand just sort of barely above it, you can feel just a little bit of heat coming from it because it's fermenting and it's producing, it's exchanging sugar into alcohol. It produces just a little bit of heat, but it looks like it would be hot, like a hot boiling soup or something, but it isn't. You can put your hand above it, feel a little bit of heat, but if you touch it, it's actually cool to the touch. And then they let you taste it. Tastes pretty much like sort of a cornbread mix before you stick it in the oven. But I thought it was just a really cool part of the tour, and I really have been, I would say, impressed with Four Roses bourbons. I think they have a high quality price ratio, so I'm looking forward to getting back into this bottle. But before we do, here are my notes. Four Roses Single Barrel Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. When you look on a bottle of Four Roses Single Barrel Bourbon, you may have a label that has initials on it such as OBSV or OESF. These initials indicate the recipe that was used for that barrel. The first letter in every recipe is O. This indicates that it was produced at the Four Roses Distillery in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. The third letter will always be S, which designates straight whiskey distillation. The recipes become a lot clearer when you realize that there are only two variables in each recipe, the mash bill and the yeast. Four Roses uses 2 different mash bills and 5 different yeast strains. This results in 10 different recipes for their bourbons. E equals the mash bill, that is 75% corn, 20% rye, and 5% malted barley. B equals the mash bill, that is 60% corn, 35% rye, and 5% malted barley. Yeast K is rich in spiciness and is full-bodied. Yeast Q is slightly fruity, spicy, and medium-bodied. Yeast O is floral, like rose petals, spicy and medium-bodied. And yeast F is more herbal. Yeast V is delicate fruit, spicy, and creamy. Their standard 100 proof, 50% alcohol ABV single barrel is always OBSV. This mash bill consists of 60% corn, 35% rye, and 5% malted barley. Alrighty, so if you pick up a bottle of Four Roses Single Barrel, particularly if it's at a small independent whiskey shop and not, say, one of the big chains, you may have a different bottle than what we got here. So looking at those codes, if you're at a shop and you see that they have one of those on the bottle, you can go to their website, you can go to the Four Roses website, or just go back to this video and read the notes and you'll be able to see what the makeup is of the bourbon. This is sort of the standard bottle. I got it at a local shop here. Alrighty, let's get into it. Color-wise, it looks just like a bourbon, although it's not as red as some others. I think of Booker's. The kitchen table had a lot of red color to it. This, not as much, just more sort of an amber and copper in color. On the nose, medium intense aromas of a little bit of corn notes, candied corn. It's not super sweet on the nose though. It doesn't smell super sweet. Medium spices, get some vanilla, a little bit of cinnamon, baking spices, apple with cinnamon, apple pie. Not getting heavy oak character that I do in some other bourbons. It's mostly fruit and spice. A little bit of caramel, a little bit of toffee, a hint of sweet tobacco. All right, on the palate. One more. The spices on the back end has a little bit of a bite, but it's not, doesn't seem like a heat bite. Sometimes when you first get into whiskeys or even wine sometimes, it can be hard to tell the difference between a little bit of a tingling or a bite from alcohol versus a little bit of a bite from spice. Some wines can have a spiciness to it, particularly Syrah, particularly from the Northern Rhone, can have that little bit of a pepperiness to it. So this has a little bit of a tingle, a little bit of a bite, but it's a spicy bite. It's not an alcohol bite. I'm sure you get a little bit of warmth, but I'm not getting like an offensive heat, that sort of menthol character. I'm not getting that at all. The caramel is sort of a medium. I get a nice apple pie character with a little bit of cinnamon, some vanilla. Sort of a medium length finish, medium bodied. It's an all around very nice, good whiskey. There's nothing about this that makes me go, wow, absolutely phenomenal. I started this month with some really fantastic bourbons, and this is a great bourbon, but you gotta take into consideration the quality price ratio. Take the Booker's, for example. That's $70 a bottle. Phenomenal bourbon. It requires some patience. You got to wait for it to open. You know, it's a really nice bourbon. That's $70 a bottle. The Elijah Craig. I know some people can get it for $50. I paid $70. Some people paid closer to $100. That's a phenomenal bourbon. This is only like $33, $34 in my area, readily available. So you got to take that into consideration. For a bourbon under $40, I think this is a really nice everyday sipper. If you're on a budget and you can't afford, you know, be popping out $70, $100 and up for a bourbon, go for it. I think this is really, really nice. I think it's got a nice high quality price ratio. What would I give it as a score? I'm gonna go give it 88 points. I like it. What would I take to get higher score, get me up above 90? More complexity, more development, more of a range of flavors from beginning to finish to end. But again, keeping the price in mind, I think it's a really nice whiskey. All right, that's it for this review. If you subscribe to this channel, I want to thank you very much. If you haven't yet subscribed, but you like watching my videos, I would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe and give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and other social networking channels. Until next time, cheers. Hey, if you like my review, be sure to check out these other whiskey videos.